Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for your interest in ONTOCHAIN Open Call 3. Actually, this is, let's say, the webinar where you will find all the answer, I guess, to your questions. So let's start with the agenda. First of all, we will go through the ONTOCHAIN project in brief. And at that point, what is the ONTOCHAIN community? We will recall a bit the context, the overall objective and approach of the project, and the ONTOCHAIN development and implementation. Then we will move to the Open Call 3 goals and why to apply. Then the next step will be to speak about the ONTOCHAIN Open Call 3 topics. And finally, we will give you some tips and tricks to apply to ONTOCHAIN Open Call 3. In particular, we will briefly go to the eligibility criteria and the selection process. We will go more in depth in what we expect from your proposal. I will recall the Open Call 3 indicative timeline and the application process. So with me, there will be Vlado Stankowski, the technical coordinator of the ONTOCHAIN project, and Thanasis Papaioannou from the University of Athens, that is also our innovation manager. And so these two guys, let's say, these two colleagues will make the presentation with me, will share the presentation with me. So let's move to the ONTOCHAIN project. So ONTOCHAIN is a European funded project that is also part of the European Commission Next Generation Internet Initiative. It was launched in September 2020. To empower innovators and end users through 3 open calls to develop blockchain-based knowledge management solution that will be part of a novel software ecosystem for a better share of knowledge and value. So up to for the €2 million funding and mentoring program are, let's say, distribute with best international experts in semantic web, linked data, ontology engineering, blockchain interoperability, knowledge management, and so forth. So at that point, what is the ONTOCHAIN community? So we are 7 core partners. From let's say all over Europe, at Success, European Dynamics in Luxembourg, iExec in France, IntelliSemantic in Italy, at the University of Ljubljana in Slovenia, AHK in Greece, and the Athens University of Economic and Business in Greece. So all these partners have extensive expertise in, among others, semantic web, linked data, ontology, engineering, blockchain interoperability, knowledge management, distributed and decentralized computing, business model for trust knowledge, communication, and networking. So this is among other, of course, expertise. The community is growing slowly. So actually, we have 30 third-party innovators belonging to the Open Call 1 and the Open Call 2 that are part of the ecosystem, and it will even increase more with the third party selected in Open Call 3. The community, we have also the advisory board members of ONTOCHAIN that are coming from all over the world. So ONTOCHAIN is born out of the fact that the success of the internet lies in free speech, open innovation, and interoperability. However, growing concern that openness, trustworthiness, privacy, and security are being threatened by the quest for high performance and profit. As such, multiple threats have already been identified when people interact with the online services. So, as you may know, unknown provenance of information, anonymity in favor of criminal activities, personal privacy violation and personal data exploitation, bias in AI algorithm, no fair reward for quality contribution, spread of fake news, centralization of power, and so forth. So this existing problem of misuse of information can soon achieve even more dangerous level. The internet of the future should be more resilient, trustworthy, and sustainable. And so the approach of ONTOCHAIN is to tackle this problem is to leverage semantic web and blockchain assets to build as a distinct added value for the next generation internet, trustworthy data and service exchange, as well as trustworthy content handling. So the objective are to develop a new software technology stack based on this approach for different application domains. So like online media, e-education, e-health, e-government, e-commerce, e-tourism, e-infrastructure, Industry 4.0, entertainment, e-sport, and so forth. Regarding the development and the implementation, as I already mentioned, ONTOCHAIN is made of 3 open calls that correspond to co-design process and win-win exploitation with the third-party innovators. So the open call 1 on research was about specifying the ONTOCHAIN framework as a human-centric, decentralized, and trustworthy solution based on available technology. The first batch of specification have been delivered by 17 teams in phase 1 of the call, and 7 remaining teams has delivered the ONTOCHAIN framework in September 2021. The Open Call 2 protocol suite and software ecosystem foundation, which correspond to the implementation of the aforementioned specification, is actually in progress. Very recently, short project have finalized their project, but there is still 6 long projects to be finished. So the idea here is to build the ONTOCHAIN software ecosystem for the creation of a trustworthy information service exchange process and a more trustworthy content handling. And so this call aims to deliver the ONTOCHAIN framework prototype. Yes, here 13 teams are actually working on it, but let's say that 7 has already finished and 6 are remaining. So now we are going to speak about the Open Call 3 application and experimentation, which correspond to the deployment and which interests you more particularly today. So the call has been open, and the idea is to exploit the ONTOCHAIN solution for real-life use cases. So what are the ONTOCHAIN Open Call 3 goals and why to apply? So actually, there is 2 big objectives with specific topic. So the objective A is to complete the missing block of the ONTOCHAIN infrastructure, and the objective B to exploit the ONTOCHAIN infrastructure design and implement respectively through Open Call 1 and Open Call 2 for real-life use cases that cover real need of individuals in terms of trustworthy data services exchange and trustworthy content handling from various vertical domains of the European economy. So the project for which you are going to apply will last 10 months. There is a maximum funding per applicant, which is about 190K. Yes, here there is a slight mistake. So the deadline for submission is the 25th of July and not the 15th. So I just repeat, the 25th of July. Why to apply? ONTOCHAIN will offer you equity-free funding, coaching on technical and business aspects, access to top infrastructure, as well as visibility and promotion through innovators, industry, and investors. The idea is to create, of course, this ecosystem and to exploit it in a win-win situation, let's say, both for the main partners and the third-party innovators. So I will leave now the floor to Thanasis Papaioannou to speak about the ONTOCHAIN Open Call 3 topics. So Thanasis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Caroline. So let me share my screen. So we talk about Open Call 3 of ONTOCHAIN. So I'm going to give you some overview of what is technically ONTOCHAIN currently and how you can contribute to the enlargement of this software framework and ecosystem. So ONTOCHAIN is practically a software framework and a platform concurrently, meaning that it can host decentralized applications of the future, such as those that will be developed by you. It's a platform that lies in the intersection of semantic web and blockchain technologies and puts semantic notation inside smart contracts to be used by smart contracts. So by this way, we can achieve trustworthiness, enhanced trustworthiness for services exchange and data exchange, and enhanced trustworthiness for data handling. This platform has the architecture depicted in this slide here. It's a layered architecture, which I mean, at the bottom layer you can envision a layer 1 or a layer 2 blockchain infrastructure, and there are different alternatives for that. Currently, we are employing an EVM-compatible POA blockchain network, but this could change as an infrastructure later, and we have a relevant call for changing our infrastructure to a greener one. We have a layer of ontologies. Various ontologies have been specified for the various services, data, digital assets in general that can be exchanged and tagged in this ecosystem. And even the secure storage of this semantic data and the consensus-based updating of the data has been envisioned and has been implemented. We have, on top of that, on top of the ontologies, a number of protocols and modules in the form of SDKs, APIs, in general software libraries that implement the different types of functionality in a complete modular manner. And then we envision that we are going to have applications that utilize these existing modules and protocols and implement end-to-end decentralized applications in different verticals like open science, education, e-content, asset management, public services, e-health, e-tourism, and more. And these applications answer to needs from our current society, needs for enhanced trustworthiness in online transactions, enhanced privacy, enhanced decentralization of power, and enhanced user empowerment in online interactions. This is the status of this architecture, of the implementation of this architecture. What you see as green is the functionality that has been already implemented in Open Call 1. The blue functionality has been implemented in Open Call 2. The orange functionality is what you are going to implement in Open Call 3. So as you see, we have mostly filled the part of ontologies, mostly filled the part of the libraries and SDKs. And we have some small orange part here and some small orange part here, but the main orange part is on the application side. Let's go into a little bit higher level of detail on what has been done in Open Call 1 in terms of functionality and in Open Call 2. So as Caroline mentioned, we have accepted and and there have been implemented several projects in Open Call 1, namely ONTOCHAIN Vault, which implemented an approach for storing and managing credentials using the SSI, W3C SSI, and verifiable credentials standards. HIBI project implemented the functionality to link SSI identities with eIDAS credentials, with real-world credentials. And this is an operational solution certified by the German government currently. Copyrightly, which was about data ownership and ownership in general, ownership claims for digital content in general, and for applying disputes regarding ownership of digital content and stuff. This is both a service, both a library and an application. Again, both a library and an application is KnowledgeX that implemented privacy-aware data processing, which is applied as an application for the case of data analytics experts that can be procured for doing some analytic work without having access to the data itself. Reputable implemented some decentralized reputation management functionality with completely unlinkable user feedback from the reputation scores. GraphChain that implemented a semantic database that can be employed within smart contracts without having to use oracles by modifying the EVM kernel. This was achieved. POP for Commerce that defined hierarchical ontologies for materializing e-commerce services on top of blockchain. And it also offers a search engine for matchmaking between metadata service requests, semantic service requests, and offers. In Open Call 2, we had several other different kinds of functionalities implemented. First, ADOS project implemented distributed data oracles by means of quality control and consensus-based trustworthiness of IoT data, and also applying some neural network approach. The Bowler project that implemented an ID interface for facilitating you, basically, and I hope that this is going to be utilized by you as an IDE for combining the functionality that is offered by the different ONTOCHAIN libraries to build your decentralized applications. So Bowler delivers an IDE for ONTOCHAIN. CareChain is about automated agreement compliance checking in the insurance domain. This is both a service and an application. Desmo LD project that implemented another data oracle that implements Web of Things descriptions and standards. DKG for data and knowledge exchange. It's a platform for data and knowledge exchange. This is a project submitted by Origin Trail Company. Maybe you have heard of this. And this is actually a project that brings together the power of DKG of Origin Trail and ONTOCHAIN projects. And we have the capability now by using DKG services to do data and knowledge exchange in a market-based manner and monetize data and knowledge. Geontology for proof of location, basically, without saying more. MFSIA for challenge response authentication services for arbitrary services. NFT Watch for for semantic browsing browsing the semantic information of NFTs and their credibility. OntoSpace for writing semantic data in a trustworthy manner. PerunX for cross-chain interoperability. NFT Swap for NFT or any digital asset pricing by employing liquidity pools and bull and bear tokens. Pringo for NFT management within games. It's a full framework for NFT management within game infrastructures, which is a very promising application area. And PSSDA for implementing data provenance. They also define their own ontologies for following GDPR handling and processing of data. So what are actually the calls that have to build on top of this functionality, or that we need additional to this functionality that I have already described? So as I said, we have two objectives: to complete the missing blocks in the infrastructure and to build new applications exploiting the current implemented infrastructure and the current implemented functionality. For building useful applications that will be the ambassadors, and they will be the selling value of the OnToChain platform towards the end users and towards the society in general. So you will build in objective B the applications that are going to attract the demand from the end users, and in objective A you will complement the boxes in the framework so that we have completed all the functionality that we have envisioned, so that future application developers will be able to build arbitrary decentralized applications to meet next generation internet application needs. So I will pass the floor right now to my colleague, Vlado Stankovsky, to talk about the topics under Objective A.
Hello, everybody. We have three topics here that are related to the core services integration. And topic A1 is especially meant for a software integrator that is capable of, digesting from all the results from ongoing projects, the most generic APIs that would be really useful to form a software ecosystem. As you can see from the previous presentation, we have done in the past year and a half quite a lot of work in identifying core technology building blocks that correspond to an architecture that is a visionary architecture that we wish to achieve. And now it is the goal of this topic to distill and present the generic component parts in ready-to-use gateway APIs that we call. So we here expect a proposal from a partner or a group of partners that would become really core, let's say, partners to talk with and to engage with our consortium related to these functional building blocks that can be used within any application. So this is for this topic. For the second topic about semantic matchmaking and reasoning, we believe there is a lot of future still in the development of semantic trustworthy marketplace that relies on ontologies and metadata and other data which is either off-chain or on-chain, with potentially additional properties of reasoning, properties of matchmaking between semantic models, and any aspects of the semantic web that could be developed here. So we believe there is a lot of future in this area, also from the viewpoint of decentralized reasoning. We know about semantic web technologies like Pellet or Hermit, which are reasoners. And now we want to see from the viewpoint of the semantic marketplace and how these advanced semantic web approaches and technologies could be made useful for ONTOCHAIN. For the third topic, which is A3, it's about energy efficient and sustainable hosting infrastructure for ONTOCHAIN. So we know for sure there are plenty of ledgers already existing that are Ethereum compatible. We know about, for example, the Aurora, Phantom, Polygon, Arbitrum, Heco, Harmony, Crypto.com, Kronos, TomoChain, Paratime Chain, Avalanche, Cardano, and other layer 2 and layer 1 technologies that operate on different consensus mechanisms and so on, that could be used to host actually the overall ONTOCHAIN API software developed, and to produce, let's say, a running infrastructure on which our technologies can be deployed and our applications can be deployed and used. But the baseline is compatibility, as you see, with, let's say, Ethereum, the Ethereum network, but it's not limited to this one. So any future approach that would be also energy efficient and scalable and extensible, and would serve the needs for additional metadata and ontologies operations and other type of operations as we investigate in our project, would also be a very welcoming project for us. So we need, let's say, a group of partners or one partner that is capable of experimenting and finding the best possible infrastructure to host the ONTOCHAIN coin, to host actually all the services and applications of ONTOCHAIN. So thank you very much. And now I pass, I think, back to Thanasis to further explain topics B.
Yes, I wanted to say something more here. And this is probably something that we should have explained right from the start. That this is a European project, but at the same time, it's a living platform. It's a platform that is already live, and it will be exploited commercially in the future. So this means that your own application and your own contributions will be plugged in a living software ecosystem that will be used by end users and customers. Having said this, I will now go to the application topics, to the topics under Objective B, where we actually have several ideas, but you can propose your own disruptive idea on how to utilize ONTOCHAIN software and ONTOCHAIN technologies in order to build your own dream application that would fulfill some current and future needs of end users. So maybe there is a need somewhere that we didn't see, that we didn't observe, and you are aware of, please convince us for this need, for the existence of this need, and we will fund your application. So a first topic for an application would be semantic digital logbooks. This was actually one of the recent calls for European projects. So semantic digital logbooks can be applied for a variety of domains like building, the construction business, or the enterprise domain, or the car, the automotive industry, for logging the various transactions that happen in these complex processes. Especially for the construction domain, the digital logbooks have been already envisioned for tracking the life cycle of a building from the inception, from the design phase towards the construction phase, and then towards the operation phase, and then towards the recycling phase. So the full cycle of the lifetime of a building. How do you keep track of this life cycle, and you really record all processes in a trustworthy and transparent way for all actors involved? This is this domain, and we want solutions which are capable of integrating the information from the various actors. And we want, as I mentioned also earlier, business viability. This is something that we want for every application that is going to be proposed, and not only every application, but for every piece of functionality. Decentralized fact-checking. What is the problem? The problem is that we have so much information which is disseminated online, and it's false. We have a lack of data credibility, either in social media or in the Web2 platforms. So how can we employ blockchain technology, and especially the blockchain technologies developed on top of ONTOCHAIN, so that we can do fact-checking and reward people for this, for facilitating this fact-checking. And maybe we have to utilize, to this end, in order to implement this decentralized fact-checking, we have to employ oracles, including human oracles. Maybe we have to employ decentralized autonomous organizations or cryptographic tokens. We have to employ, or we might have to employ, identity verification in the form of SSIs or HIBI, or other functionality that we offer, like MFSIA, without breaking anonymity. We may have to employ reputation systems here as well, or anything else that you think belongs to our functionality and can be utilized towards this goal. Of course, getting rid of the big brothers and and the lack of user privacy and data privacy in online social networks by means of decentralizing them is a nice application scenario. But here, of course, you need to combine many different pieces of modules that we offer and libraries that we offer, like identity management, like reputation management, again, like POC for commerce. If you also utilize these semantic social networks for exchanging services and products among these users that belong to these decentralized social networks. But at the same time, you need to care about the business viability of this online, new online decentralized social network, because people have been used to have these services for free. So how can we have a convincing alternative to these centralized social networks, which is decentralized. It has all these trustworthiness and privacy properties, but at the same time, it is sustainable economically. And another interesting area for applications would be this semantic energy data management by means of utilizing our technology for P2P energy exchanges, for energy conservation, and for including prosumers into the grid so that energy transactions can be facilitated and cleared in a transparent and economically sustainable manner, and of course in a faster manner than it can happen right now by means of the utility services. So the solution would be a decentralized semantic energy management solution that rewards energy contributions in a fair and trustworthy manner in accordance to the energy provenance. Of course, here in this application domain, we also include, we may also include electric vehicles and chargers for electric vehicles. Of course, this is also overlapping with the smart city application domain, but which also has some different aspects as well, like how to control greenhouse emissions at the city level, how to facilitate using our technologies more efficient use of resources and the circular economy in the city, to enable safer mobility and traffic management at the city environment, to facilitate public and waste collection, and to enhance the participation and guarantee the security, reliability, transparency, and anonymity of public consultations. Maybe Vlado can take it on for the rest of the topics so that you don't hear always my voice.
Thank you, Thanasis. So this one is about this electric grid, for example. These are all examples, of course, of applications. Here it's about, the charging of vehicles, making this economics of people who do produce and people who are consuming. It's the prosumer culture, the culture of providers and consumers at the same time. So about hiring, for example, sharing vehicles or electricity or water or anything related to the collection, storing, organizing, and sharing data related to availability of resources to be used in a more, let's say, efficient way, and to show really the value of elimination of the middleman who is organizing the whole economy. Next slide, please. About the distribution logistics. I think this topic is well understood already in the blockchain domain. It's about the whole value chain and the supply chain, starting from something which is raw and comes together with specific certificates, and this quality is assigned to those items. For example, trees in the forest that end up in end products like chairs and furniture. And then using this quality information about the quality of the data and the quality of the actual, let's say, wood or any other thing that can be used in a supply chain management. So that all the certificates are immediately visible, all the process is verified, so that people really know what they are getting as an end product and where this product originated. This could, for example, showcase different optimizations, for example, of the delivery process by, for example, advanced advanced let's say a selection of items, tracing the products from their source throughout various phases and processes of the supply chain, reducing transportation costs, improving business processes, and also addressing the question of service level agreements, where of course there could be automation in the overall process of let's say complaints on the quality and aspects like that. Next slide, please.
Also,
Then it's about
the previous, the cross-border dimension is a very important one in the logistics and the supply chain. So just have this in mind. I mean, that we want to support cross-border transactions.
Absolutely. So cross-border data management is, of course, important, and it can be linked to some of the existing projects. For example, we have projects that produce proof of location or proof of presence, and all these can be associated also to the data and also to the compliance with specific regulations. So the regulations could be included in ontologies and could be observed in the process of moving, for example, goods across borders, investigating how long it took, or for example, for apples to move from one place to another to be stored under specific specific conditions, and also that the regulator can be able to verify and check whether all this has been done according to the law. About the digital content and multimedia marketplace, we are talking about the ability to assign specific copyrights. So we have projects, ONTOCHAIN projects, that are dealing with the ability of people to assign copyrights, different very fine-grained copyrights about sharing digital content, reusing digital content. For example, it could be used for the creative industry, but it can also be used in other scenarios that we already mentioned, such as, for example, the buildings, and you have, let's say, models of buildings that are also assigned with copyrights and can be reused to make other changes in buildings. So there could be a functional data marketplace solution that deals with the above for bulk and streaming data. So for different type of data, here the focus would be more on the type of data and how the data is being managed in the overall process of sharing it, reusing it, and any other aspect that is of concern to the creative industry. Next slide. Sorry?
Just a second. Just let me add to this, because I think this domain allows us to mention lots of the functionality which has been already implemented by ONTOCHAIN. So maybe one thinks that these data marketplaces already exist, but in reality they don't. They don't really exist in the way that they really solve the problems of ownership, as Vlado said, of data provenance, of data handling in a trustworthy manner and in compliance to GDPR, in a way that it can be processed in a privacy-aware manner. What is the real value of the data? How do you do data pricing? So we have functionality for price determination of any digital assets. We have a solution for data identification by means of copyright management. and the data ownership. We have people's identification solutions by means of SSIs and verifiable credentials and the linking to real identities. We have functionality for secure data transfers by means of DKG, as I said previously. But of course, someone has to integrate all this functionality together and add even additional functionality so that these data marketplaces that we envision can be really implemented. And this is one of the killer apps, I think, if it is implemented properly and if the proposal completes all aspects of the problem. So please continue.
So the semantic-based decentralized autonomous organizations are those that are of also great concerns by people. So people could be forming some decentralized organizations on specific topics, and ontologies could govern their, existence, their rules, and how they, for example, vote, and how they arrive to specific decisions. An example that we investigated was a decentralized autonomous organization on the topic of publishing research papers as an example. So one would, an organization like this would care really much about the quality of the whole production process. It would not be possible that the paper is being published, for example, as an NFT by means of not verifying the quality properly, and all the actors, for example, reviewers and authors and readers, would have a word or say in the quality of the data being, let's say, curated in this process. The members of an organization like this would have the ability to choose the leading structure of the organization, the leaders, the participants, like the editors, editorial board, which would be, let's say, consisting of several prominent people in the community. And this is just one possibility, but semantics could be used also for community related organizations. For example, several blocks of flats apartments could have their own decentralized autonomous organization, and things like this. So they would, for example, care about investments, charity, fundraising, freelancer work. As you can see here, and it would solve specific problems such as the governance of the either the data or the assets or the services being generated. They could also be engaged in political aspects, entertainment, and other things like this. And we are very much interested in seeing applications that would be really viable from business viewpoint, which means that they will showcase from one side all the, let's say, technology advancements of the ONTOCHAIN project, and on the other side, show that these advancements can be really used by the organization to provide the highest possible quality in its operation. Then we have a topic about decentralized public services and common goods. So this is about how people are actually producing common goods, and it also concerns the interface between the physical world and the virtual world, which is, let's say, supported by blockchains. For example, public services and common goods could be, let's say, creating a project to plant trees in the environment, and then verifying this by in a community effort, and then this, let's say, benefits or let's say credentials could be used in the virtual world to achieve something, like for example in games. So children or people could engage in such scenarios where they would provide specific common good, and then there would be value assigned to that common good that can be used either in the physical or the virtual world. So this has to be, as in the example of making trees or planting trees, it could be about also sharing things in a community fashion, like books or cars or anything else. And we expect really convincing and inclusive scenarios for this. Then about the remote presence and the metaverse, we have also thought about using technologies developed by ONTOCHAIN. Virtual reality, extended reality, or immersive environments could be used as a baseline to be enhanced with blockchain ideas from the ONTOCHAIN project, to, for example, enhance learning process between people of, let's say, different generations, or by, let's say, maybe working together from remote locations and generating and sharing generated value. We have seen, for example, environments where it would be possible to even do software engineering and programming in a way that it's remote by using the metaverse principles. So these are the type of applications we have thought about. And finally, there is this application topic. It's not limited to only one application. There could be even more applications funded as, let's say, application topic that we have not thought about. And you're free to surprise us with an idea of an innovative application that could greatly benefit from being deployed on top of the ONTOCHAIN services. And we want to have definitely a convincing market value of any proposed application. So this is a baseline for all proposers. We want to see that the technology readiness levels of your proposed applications are really high and really show clear business potential. So I guess this is, in conclusion, Thanasis.
So I will conclude this. As you see, ONTOCHAIN already delivers a software ecosystem that will be complemented by some interesting applications in various verticals. And in particular in trustworthy web and social media domain, trustworthy crowdsourcing, trustworthy service orchestration for decentralized and unsupervised online social networks, and so on. So the end users should enjoy from this application trustworthy services exchange and trustworthy content handling. And we have to have popular applications that really address current user needs. And the framework, we hope that this framework will be widely and sustainably adopted by vital sectors of the European economy. And it will be maintained by a live software community to which you might be member of. Of course, there are incentives for this. I mean, economic incentives. This is all calculated. This is all part of the deal. So when you become part of this software infrastructure and software ecosystem, then a piece of the pie will come to you. So there is a win-win outcome envisioned for everyone involved, both for the participation in this software ecosystem and for the maintenance of the software in this ecosystem. So right now we are at the application phase, of course, but be assured that it is worthwhile joining this vision, the ONTOCHAIN vision. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thanasis and Vlado. I will take the floor again, and because it's not finished, even if a preliminary conclusion has been set. So let me just put this in the presentation mode. So the question now, after this technical information, let's say, is how to apply to the ONTOCHAIN Open Call 3. So the application process is the following. For the proposal submission, the entry point for all proposal is the F6S web portal. You have the link here. Submission received by any other channel will be automatically discarded. Of course, you have to provide a comprehensive research proposal according to the ONTOCHAIN template and instruction set in the guide for applicant. And right after my talk, Vlado and Thanasis will come back again to give you some more tips and to tell you what we really expect in the proposal. Of course, you have also to fill in the administrative part, including any obligatory supporting documents specified in the guide for applicants. Let's say that the tips and tricks for a good proposal are the following. Of course, read the ONTOCHAIN background document, read the ONTOCHAIN Open Call 3 document and the guide for applicant. You will find many technical information there. Of course, get inspired and base your solution on Open Call 1 and Open Call 2 outcomes. So here I just would like to mention that there is already extensive information in our web portal, the ONTOCHAIN web portal, where you can find the description of this project. And soon, and when I say soon, it will be before the end of the week, there will be a new page with again some potential use cases according to this project that are actually finalized or still under implementation. Of course, you have to be very careful and check the eligibility criteria. It could be a pity that you miss the opportunity because of some, let's say, administrative points. Take a look at the frequently asked question on our website. You might find there some interesting also answer to your question. And of course, and it is mandatory, use the official ONTOCHAIN template for your proposal. You can, of course, find more info on the ONTOCHAIN NGI web portal, and you can also ask ask questions via our contact form. We will be pleased to answer to you. The Open Call 3 indicative timeline. So the Open Call deadline for the submission of your proposal is the 25th of July. The evaluation and selection process will last from the 26th of July. This is indicative date till mid-September. The contracting phase will be quick. So from the 20th of September till the 1st of October, and the project will start then for 10 months implementation. So at this stage, I would like to ask you to really be careful to the sub-agreement template. It is already available to you in our website. You might already have seen it. It is also in the guide for applicants, so that you have an idea of what will be the contractual aspect between us and the modality of our collaboration. And there you might also get some information regarding IP management. The eligibility criteria. So you already know what we are expecting, I mean at a high level. Who are we researching? This is all internet researchers, innovators, and developers. In particular, high-tech companies, academia, and team of natural person. It can be also a group of this entity. This entity should be legally established in a European member state according to the H2020 regulation, and thus including associate countries or overseas countries and territories linked to the member state. The maximum funding one beneficiary can receive from the whole ONTOCHAIN project is limited to 200K. So that means that if you have already participated in Open Call 1 and Open Call 2, you have, of course, to be careful on how you will build your team. In any case, you will not be able to gain more than these 200K. For the selection process, there is 3 phases: the eligibility check, so that is done by the ONTOCHAIN staff, the proposal evaluation with at least 2 experts and 1 external evaluator. When I say external, that means that it is independent of the ONTOCHAIN consortium. And when proposal has been evaluated by these 2 evaluators, if they are above threshold, then they can go for the online interviews, where there will be again a panel of reviewers that will select the best proposal. The other will be put on the reserve list in case there is still some available funding due to the withdrawal of selected entities. So regarding the evaluation criteria, you have probably seen in the guide for applicant, there is 3 criteria: the excellence and innovation one, the expected impact and value for money, and the project implementation. So here, this is a really high level also tip that I give you regarding the criterion 1 and excellence and innovation. What do we want to see regarding the applicant background? So you should really demonstrate your capacity and the quality of the team, your expertise and previous achievement in the same field. You should convince us that you are fit for purpose. Regarding the proposal description, of course, we want to see your vision, the objective and concept, bearing in mind that the idea is to be part of the ONTOCHAIN ecosystem. So we should see some spirit that goes in the sense of the ONTOCHAIN ecosystem. We want also to see, of course, innovation and progress beyond the state of the art, and in particular in the context of ONTOCHAIN. So that means related to trustworthy data exchange, trustworthy content handling, and so forth. We want to see also an approach and methodology with links with the ONTOCHAIN framework. And just here, really important, maybe we repeat it, but we want that the proposed solution use standard technology for full stack development, and the result will have to be open source. It will have to use mechanisms that are already part of ONTOCHAIN services, so in particular Open Call 1 and Open Call 2. So that's it. Vlado and Thanasis will come back to this point in more technical detail. Regarding criterion 2, impact and value for money, we want to see societal, economic, and environmental impact, both for ONTOCHAIN, for the European, and for the global market. So you should convince us that your solution is going to provide this kind of impact, and you should also convince us about the significance of your contribution. And for that, you can provide us with some KPIs that will enable to measure impact. Of course, it has to be relevant and coherent. Regarding the business model, exploitation, IP, and sustainability, of course, we want to see what will happen for ONTOCHAIN and for your entity. Thanasis will come back more into detail regarding that. And we want also that you show us how you are going to maximize the impact with some dissemination and communication activities. Regarding the criterion 3, project implementation, so we want to see a coherent work plan with clear work packages and task description. It could be good to have a Gantt chart that makes an overview of the plan work. And I just mentioned that the project, I recall that the projects are 10 months duration. We want also to see the integration in the ONTOCHAIN ecosystem. And finally, please provide us with some risk analysis and mitigation plan. You have to convince us that whatever risk happen, you will be able to reach the outcome thanks to some mitigation measure. All this in 10 pages maximum. So I leave the floor now to Vlado to go more into detail on what we expect from a technical point of view in your proposal. So please, Vlado.
I had to unmute myself. So what we want to see is like really a very telegraphic explanation of the challenges addressed by the proposed application. So that should be really clear. Is it about the management of metadata coming from somewhere? Is it about, I don't know, privacy, security, safety, anything that is really challenging and identified as a challenge? We want to see it really set there in that application. Next slide, please. I will just briefly talk about these. Yes, you can go through. So one other aspect that we want to see is the type of data, metadata, and ontologies and knowledge that will be used by the proposed application. So we want to see a clear overview of the challenge from the viewpoint of using let's say semantically rich data, either on-chain or off-chain. How do you imagine that this could be done in your this would be done in your application? Next slides, please. Then it's about the properties of data. We know that blockchains and semantic web are all about trust, and they employ a lot of cryptographic and other mechanisms to achieve trust and other quality properties of data quality properties. So for example, with blockchains, we get two properties such as integrity, immutability, traceability, transparency, sovereignty, and so on. And these are employed in specific application scenarios, for example, to achieve diversity, plurality, democracy, security, privacy, and so on. So what we want to see is that you clearly explain in your proposal the type of data properties that will be achieved and by using which mechanisms. So this means, for example, anything that is considered as a data quality property and can be achieved within your application, and how this contributes to the value of your application. How this property is actually enabling your application. Next slide, please. We know that both in blockchains and in semantic web, there are specific issues that are currently still considered as too difficult. So we want to see that your application is not trying to solve some problems that are kind of not solvable at the moment. So we want to see a real business-oriented application that is capable of generating business value, even though there are specific topics, challenging issues, both in blockchains and in semantic web that are currently still not fully addressed. Here we have some issues that are already identified in blockchains. So for example, if scalability is the huge issue, then and your application aims at addressing this topic, then we want to see that still within the framework of using this application, it would still be possible to run it in business context. For example, maybe not for 1 million people, but for the market that you envision, like maybe just 50,000 companies using it. Next slide, please. Also in the semantic web topics, there are specific questions that have been identified also from the viewpoint, for example, of large scale adoption. So we are aware of those issues, and we don't see, we want to see specific technologies being used at the level that it's still feasible. So the main challenge of Open Call 3 is to be able to build still business oriented and credible application that is using technologies and concepts of blockchains and semantic web all together in a way that it's still credible and can be used in business context. Next slide, please. And we want to see in your application that you can show us how specific technologies and concepts and properties defined by ONTOCHAIN technology suite can be actually used to underpin innovation in your application. Like linking of data, interoperability between chains, specific methods to deal with the digital identity and other aspects like that. Next slide, please. Maybe just one click more. So what are the main ONTOCHAIN building blocks? I think you saw them already, but there will be on the website of ONTOCHAIN also specific links to all the projects, and also in the following days some ideas of how these technologies and APIs already developed could be used. We have explored so far different type of applications, like applications concerning the semantic marketplace, part tracing and logistics applications, and copyright related applications. So these have already been a part of the exploration of our project. And then we have already had projects about the self-sovereign digital identity and concepts, used concepts such as decentralized identities and verifiable credentials of the semantic web. Then we have also used and developed technologies related to semantic interoperability. We have projects dealing with on-chain data management that explore, let's say, the limits of on-chain data management from different viewpoints, such as injecting, for example, IoT data into the blockchain. Then off-chain knowledge management systems and applications, technologies, for example, the use of oracles and integration with the Internet of Things and reputation management. And then we have some core projects dealing with ontology management with the help of blockchains and, for example, projects dealing with decentralized knowledge graphs. So seeing these type of technologies being used in your applications would really be, I think, building on the concepts and mechanisms that we have already explored. Also including principles of tokenomics, such as fungible, semi-fungible, and non-fungible tokens, and respecting the principles of integration and ecosystem scalability. I think already Caroline spoke about that with the main requirement of the project is that it is based on really common practices of software engineering, so that these building blocks can easily be integrated as part of the proposed applications. So we want to see the more of these being used, the better for us. Next slide, please. And yes, let's end up with this slide, which shows how we imagine the operation of ONTOCHAIN. And of course, what we want to see is that your application is credible from the viewpoint that you can show us how technology readiness level 7 or even more would be reached for your application. And we want you to include specific details in your application, such as structural and behavioral diagrams. We know about UML diagrams, so some structural and behavioral diagrams with explanation would also be helpful for the evaluation of the proposal, so that it's really clear how the main properties of data and how the main, let's say, functionalities in your application will be built, and how they will be operating. How do you imagine they will be operating? So thank you very much, and I pass it back now to Thanasis and probably Caroline.
So the floor is for Thanasis. Thank you, Redo.
Yes. Okay, so we said it many times that we need you to demonstrate the business viability of your solution. Let me make it a little bit more clear. So we want a business model which answers in particular these questions. What is the value proposition? So what is the real added value service for the end users? When I say end users, it can be companies, it can be individuals, it can be governments. In general, it can be all kinds of end users that could be the potential clients for this application, the potential users that they would like to pay somehow directly or indirectly for using this application. The application should be attractive, should address a real need, and you should have some realistic assumptions regarding the market penetration. So how many people will be initially interested? How many people will be eventually interested in this particular application, so that we can extract what is the forecasted market value. In general, and this is an economic term, a business term, we would like us to see, I mean, this whole information could be summarized in a page in your application where you have a business model canvas, where you outline competitors to your approach, potential partners, communication channels to your end customers, revenue and cost streams, etc. All the contents that exist in the business model canvas. You can have it as a canvas, or you can have it summarized in a paragraph. I mean, to present it with different paragraphs for the different aspects that it covers. But the most important thing is that you really emphasize on the value proposition. And third, but last but not least, actually this is of crucial importance, is what is the relation of your application with the ONTOCHAIN. And here we would like to have a first glance, a first idea on the value exchange. So when we see that we use some ONTOCHAIN services, we realize how the value is going to be exchanged in terms of revenue streams for the various services already employed. So you attract the demand by means of end users, and then this is translated to a demand for some services, or to a demand for some libraries, to a demand for some modules which are deployed in the ONTOCHAIN ecosystem. And of course, you should really make clear how you make money, how you envision to make money. So I said it from in the beginning, I said it at some point, I will say it again. This is not like the rest of the European projects. We don't really want applications from people that want to develop one application, deliver it, I mean, implement something basically, and then go away. I mean, this is not our plan. Our plan is that we want people that believe in some nice idea, that see the potential that through ONTOCHAIN they can implement this nice idea. They have the capability to implement this nice idea. This nice idea is nice not only because it's a nice concept, but because it also has a market value. And if all these are combined, then we want these people that develop this idea to really want to exploit this idea commercially, either themselves or a spin-off of them, to be able to commercially exploit this idea. And by exploiting this idea, you will win, and also the whole ONTOCHAIN ecosystem will win. All people that provided these services, and eventually all the ONTOCHAIN ecosystem will win. So, having said that, just to let you know that we will launch an ONTOCHAIN utility token at some point. So also have this in mind, which will be necessary for using the ONTOCHAIN services and libraries. And we have a nice model on how the application providers, like you, will be able to acquire this coin and to be able to sell their services to the end users. But this will come later. For now, just you have to believe us somehow that and also to attend the recordings of previous events like the Berlin event, the ONTOCHAIN Summit, where we outlined our business model in detail, and where you can find more information about how we envision that this whole platform will be commercially exploited. That's all from my part. There are several interesting questions that are coming. I answered many of them in writing, but there are also some ones that we would like to take later orally and discuss with the people, with the audience. So I leave the floor now to Caroline.
Thank you, Thanasis. Yes, just one thing to add before we move to the question and answer session. Within 2-3 days, there will be announced in our website the early ONTOCHAIN white paper. So there you will find also very important information and interesting information to build your proposal. There will be also an application idea document outlining example of how different open call components can be employed by potential apps. So this will appear on our website. You will see it also in the next days. Thank you for your attention till now. So here you have some more info and link for your application. Let's move now to the question and answer session. I have seen during the presentation several hands that were raised. Please write your question in the question and answer box so that we can speak about it.
Maybe Katja could answer this question, because there was from many where they will find the material and the recordings. So, yes, sure.
So the recordings will be shared on ONTOCHAIN channels. So on the ONTOCHAIN website, you will find the recording and also the slides. The recording will also be shared on our YouTube channel, social media channels. But if you go to the website, you will find everything there.
Caroline, this is for you. Someone asked how many applications we will accept.
So actually, there will be 14 applications that will be selected, and so 11 for the objective B, and 3 for the objective A. Let's go. I hope it's clear. So let's go to the Q&A box, and I will read the question and address it to the good person. So if we are selected, what happened with the solution that is developed after the program regarding IP right, commercialization, and etc. So Thanasis, maybe.
Yeah, normally we have, yes. Okay, thank you for the question. So this is, normally we maintain permissible open source licenses like Apache version 2 for the majority of the software that has been already developed within the ONTOCHAIN software ecosystem. That being said, I do not exclude, and we do not exclude as a whole, cases where parts of the IPs can be proprietary if this is kind of necessary for the business viability of the solution. So we can have a mixed let's say, approach for the IP management, especially for the applications, if the business viability of the application is dependent on this closure of the code, of the source code of the particular solution. But in general, we apply open source, let's say, as a general rule, we really like the open source permissive license types. Other types of licenses are also possible. That's all that I have to say on this.
Okay, so I just would like to add that it is important also to go through the template sub-agreement, because there you will find also some answer regarding how we intend to, let's say, manage IP. And yes, as Thanasis has said, let's say by spirit and according to the European also value, we opt in general for open source solution. So next question: what's the selection criteria?
But let me come back to this. If you convince us that for the business viability of the solution, other forms of license are necessary, then we are open to that. We have done this in the past. We can do this. Of course, if it is meaningful in a business point of view. Okay, that's all.
Thank you, Thanasis, for this important add indeed. So next question, what's the selection criteria? How many teams can be accepted for this call? So the budget.
This is your answer.
Yes, I will answer. Yes, so we
answered already. It's the 14.
Yes.
This is what I mean.
Yes, and also what I would like to add, of course, regarding the selection criteria, you have seen it. What I would like to add is that the budget of ONTOCHAIN is not infinite. We have been funded for that, and we have a specific amount of money for the open call tree. So it's only possible to fund for 14 teams in this last open call tree. Next question, you mentioned that funded building blocks should be available as open source. Is this true also for smart city logistic applications that are only using existing building blocks? So I don't know, Thanasis or Vlado, who want to answer to that?
I'm not sure that I understand very correctly the question. So I will answer what I understand. So I'm not sure that one smart city or logistic application can be built by just plugging together or putting together existing building blocks. So you need to really do much more than that. We have much available functionality there, but this is not an end-to-end TRL7 and above application that can be used by end users, by no means. So for sure, some glue and important glue is required there. Now let's come to the open source part. Yes, it is licensed as open source, but since many of the projects are still under development, opening of the GitHub repos has not happened already. Okay, so this is something that you will be able to access all existing code once you are part of the ONTOCHAIN software ecosystem. All code will be eventually opened soon, but it's not already open. I mean, you cannot really access all GitHub repositories that have been used for uploading all project code currently, because these are still, many are still under development. Many are still improving the maturity of their code, and this process has not been finalized, so we cannot openly to the public, I mean, open these repositories yet, but this will happen soon.
So actually, Vlado wants also to answer to this question.
About the building blocks, well, yes, the idea is that all these projects provide different concepts, mechanisms, and also some reusable components. So we want to see that you are able to use all that to the benefit of your application. Of course, many things maybe are not useful, but one could imagine reusing specific concept that is developed in ONTOCHAIN, even without really reusing the existing software. Or you could imagine it is possible to use specific, let's say, APIs within as a building block of your application. So both cases would be possible.
Thank you, Vlado. So next question, comment. Let's say I wanted to ask that the emphasis on the third call for project is reusing, consuming the project from call 1 and 2. So yes, this is important. We have already speak about that during the presentation, that it is needed that you show us that you use some services that are already part of the ONTOCHAIN ecosystem. So the last part of the question, therefore, it essentially in this call, we need to propose use cases in the proposed domain, both A and B, by reusing the already selected project. So Thanasis, do you want to answer to that?
For B, for objective B and these application topics that we provided, this is exactly the case. That you combine existing functionality. Of course, you might need more functionality which is not there, and you are supposed to provide this functionality. It is not always the case that it is straightforward to really glue together the different functionality which is available and come up with end-to-end use case scenarios. It would be very nice to be like that, but it's not like that. You need to add some important glue in every case. And regarding objective A, let's not forget about that. We are talking about some last pieces of fundamental functionality which might not directly employ existing ONTOCHAIN functionality. They might build some functionality from scratch, and there the applicants should provide some indications, some potential integration ideas of how their functionality could be employed by the rest of the ONTOCHAIN ecosystem, how their solution can be integrated with existing ONTOCHAIN functionality, but not that the functionality that they are going to implement will be based on top of existing ONTOCHAIN functionality, because in Objective A, you build fundamental ONTOCHAIN protocols which implement specific needs, like cross-chain interoperability and API gateways, like semantic reasoning and matching, like energy-efficient infrastructure. So it's fundamental functionality that cannot be easily built on top of existing because it doesn't exist. That's why we ask for this fundamental functionality. Okay. So Objective A is about fundamental functionality. Objective B is about applications that combine existing functionality. Not only existing, but also some functionality that can be missing, and you offer it.
So next question, can you present the contact slide again? So not sure that I understand, but here
Is
you
this,
have.
Is this slide that you have there?
Yes, maybe this is the one. So you can contact us via the support team contact form on our website. You have the address here. You can of course you have several addresses, but the slide will be and the recording will be displayed on our YouTube channel also. So you will be able to go back to this. And I believe that you will be able also to find the slide as themselves in the web very quickly. Katia has already answered to that. So this question is okay. Next one, can you elaborate on the approach to IPR relating to the application that will be developed on Open Call 3? We need to balance the elements that need to be open source, as for example, DLTs and APIs, with the technology that we can exploit commercially. What needs to be open source and what can the project team keep proprietary?
Yeah, I think that we answered this already. You can keep proprietary the code which is necessary for your for the competitive advantage, let's say, of your business. That implements some really specific and important added value that the whole viability of your business depends on. So this, you can keep it proprietary. The rest will have to be open, will have to be open source. And I think that we already answered this in sufficient detail. If you need more clarification, you can come back and contact us, and maybe we arrange something different, or we can reply by email on specific questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you, Francis. Regarding the next question, how can we get communication with people that can assist in determining if our project is viable or not? It's also a work to put it together and the pen to fail on formality, misunderstanding, etc. So yes, we of course we are aware of this. We all go through this kind of process, and unfortunately, this is the rule of the games. In any way, if you need from us to answer some specific question, you can just email us via the contact form. But I mean, the evaluation process go via an independent evaluation one with external evaluator, and as such, it's not possible for us to let's say already let you know if your project is viable or not. I mean, you have to go to the evaluation process and of course compete with the others. I don't know.
But yeah, actually, Caroline said it all. But let me add, if you want just to check if an application idea is valid, you can send us the application idea in one paragraph. And normally one of the team will take the time to tell you that yes, it looks okay, no, it's not, it's out of context, something like that. Regarding the formalities, we took a great effort so that the formalities are really very clear regarding the eligibility criteria for the teams to participate, and regarding regarding on how to structure your proposal. So I don't anticipate lots of failures there. I mean, normally your application, I mean, if it is within the page limit and if it is, and if you are eligible for funding, it will be evaluated. It will go through the evaluation process. In very rare cases, we had we regretted to really reject some applications that were not eligible to be evaluated, but this happened in a very small number of cases.
And of course, I just want to assure that we completely understand that it's a lot of work put there, but there is no other means to do in another way. So I think we are done with this one. The next one. So in which manner it is envisioned to implement the back end of the end user application will be a smart contract in a Solidity-like language?
Yes. Yes, at least one. Or tens of smart contracts. Or using existing smart contracts of different components. All this that I said. And not only smart contracts, but also some Web3 clients and some, web part of the application, if it is a web application, or Android part, if it is a mobile application. I don't know what kind of application it will be. Exactly what is going to be the user interface, I mean. But in general, yes, of course. That's my answer.
To this, also the A1 project, which is about APIs, harmonization and integration and everything. So this project should also provide some sort of guidelines to all the other projects, so that the software can be, like harmonized and used even in interoperable way. So there would be some sort of work going on to provide standardized APIs.
Yeah, and since we are currently employing EVM, I think Vlado said that currently all smart contracts have been implemented in Solidity because we are employing Ethereum virtual machine, not Ethereum virtual machine to execute smart contracts. So this is what we do right now. So as to have all the code compatible and integratable to one another. We came up with this approach. So all these kind of smart contracts that you are going to implement as well are going to be also EVM compatible. So it means in Solidity, basically. Can the UK university participate? Yes, I also answered this in writing, and it had participated in Open Call 1 and was funded.
Yes, no need to add more. There is no problem for them to participate. Next question, maybe I missed it, but do we need to explain in the proposal which software services of the ONTOCHAIN ecosystem developed during call 1 and 2 we will use? If so, do we have access to this information?
Yes, you have information at the ONTOCHAIN website on the different kinds of functionality that is offered within the ONTOCHAIN ecosystem in various levels. You can find in the ONTOCHAIN website the functionality description in high level. And then there are several links where, and you can get these links to go to the specific websites of the different solutions, where you can find even more information. And the last step would be that you get in contact with the people that have developed the solution, and you get even more inside the technical information on the, or even the APIs of the solutions. but you don't need in 10 pages to go into that level of detail in regarding your project. So an understanding of the functionality which is available, together with some concrete ideas of how to integrate the existing functionality with some new to develop end-to-end decentralized applications would suffice normally. I mean, we don't want sequence diagrams that say that, okay, I will call that method from that smart contract from that particular module in order to do that. You don't have the space for this. You don't have the full information in order to do this, so this cannot be expected from you. But to the full awareness of the functionality which is there, I mean, this is expected from you.
Okay.
Do you want to complete anything on this?
No, I think that's a really good answer. I think we did an exercise with our people, like inside the research groups that we have, and we were able to, in terms of brainstorming, how we could use all this software to realize one application, the application for, let's say, decentralized publishing. And we were able to find out many different ways of using the existing concepts and software developed by ONTOCHAIN. So we want that this is made possible in many different applications.
So also you will see in this document that will be available, as we said, in a couple of days at the website, how one can really provide recommendation on how to combine existing on-chain functionality. So, as you will see, this document is not, it doesn't go to the level of method, but it goes up to the level of functionalities and different functionalities that are combined together in order to build something even more sophisticated from an application point of view. And also, yes, this white paper, this ONTOCHAIN white paper, it's a technical document. It's not a business document. It's a technical document where you can really find in a summarized way. I think that you will get a nice overview of all the functionality which is available within ONTOCHAIN currently. Both this will be available, as I said, in a couple of days, maybe even tomorrow, but at the latest on Thursday.
Okay, the next question, the solution should be focused on the B2C, or they can target B2B and B2B2C existing solution that will be enhanced thanks to smart contract and the ONTOCHAIN ecosystem?
Everything. Everything. B2E, B2 everything. And the most important thing is that there is demand for this, that there will be potential customers for this. There could be potential few customers, but paying lots of money. So if you see commercial viability in one idea, please propose it.
Next question, is it more probable to get funded if applicant is a legal entity, such as a registered company, rather than a group of individuals, or are you neutral on this issue? So completely neutral. As far as you convince us on the capacity of your group to be able to implement the solution that you propose us, then this is a completely equal treatment for us.
Having said that, of course, eventually for the future support of this application or the solution that you will provide, or for the business exploitation of the solution that you will provide, you might have to register a company eventually that will exploit the software that you will build. But for applying, you can be a group of individuals. No problem with that.
Okay. Next question. When are the funded projects expected to start? So I already mentioned that it will be in October. Next question. We have already developed most of the project on the Polygon blockchain, but we would like to take advantage of the ONTOCHAIN ecosystem to improve what we have achieved. Is that a problem?
You have to clearly identify your background and your foreground. But by background, I mean what has been already developed or funded by previous projects, and what is going to be delivered within ONTOCHAIN. Especially when there are existing solutions which are welcome. We need to have a substantial foreground, meaning content or material to be developed within ONTOCHAIN so that the project gets funded. Also, you have to have a clear plan on how to integrate existing solutions to the ONTOCHAIN ecosystem. That's all. I hope that I answered your question. It's a pity that we cannot interact orally.
So in other terms, we cannot double fund, let's say, the same research. We have to pay attention in that. So you have to show us that you are going to deliver something that is, of course, in the continuity of your previous project, but that this is something new. So we have a question. So up to 190k euro for a tier 7 commitment. So I don't know what is meant by that. I don't know if it's not enough or too much, but we are.
In general, yes, and TRL7 is the bottom.
Yes.
TRL7 and above, yes. Okay, yes, that's the funding.
That's it, and this is the budget that we can allocate for that.
Are the previous projects API interfaces already made public and available in the demo environment, Swagger API?
Yes, there are all these formats, but not publicly available. You don't need them right now for drafting your application because you are not going to go down to the API level. You are not expected to deliver, let's say, sequence diagrams in UML so that you are employing the API methods. But if someone is really interested into something and unsure, they can contact the specific teams that develop the specific solution that they want to employ, and I'm sure that they will get at least a summarization of the APIs. I hope this is clear enough.
So actually, there were a complement to the question, or maybe a consolidate ONTOCHAIN API description.
That's what I said in the technical white paper. There is a consolidated description of the ONTOCHAIN functionality, and some important method codes are there. Of course, this is currently submitted for a conference publication. So we had to be limited to 12 pages. So we couldn't provide many details, but still I think that it is comprehensive and it is complete. So you will see it and come back to us with any additional questions if they exist. Yes, this question has already been answered about the recordings.
Then thank you for this webinar. One first question is how many proposals are you expecting to be funded? Already also answer 14 for a reminder. Can UK company and university participate? Already answer yes. Are we supposed to find the end user data provider?
Yes. Yes.
So it's a complete yes. Do you need partners from different countries, or can all be from the same country? Can all be from the same country. There is no problem for that.
No problem.
Can we submit the reverse logistic process improvement application?
Like that, I mean, I cannot get what is the idea, but what is exactly the idea that is intended to be submitted. Maybe you can come back to us by email and elaborate a little bit within a paragraph on what exactly is the idea. I personally, I cannot tell you anything. I mean, I don't get what is exactly the idea that you want to submit.
What blockchain layer 0, 1 are currently used by ONTOCHAIN?
We employ a layer 1 solution based on Bezu client of Ethereum that uses a proof of authority consensus protocol and consists of 8 validators. It's a proprietary network.
So the next question is, I believe, the same. What is the main blockchain ledger being used at the moment by ONTOCHAIN? Is it an open blockchain model?
No. I mean, it is permissible in nature and in terms of protocols. I mean, it is EVM compatible, but in general, it is not an open blockchain model because, as I said, it's a proprietary one. All nodes are belong to the institutions constituting together the ONTOCHAIN network, the ONTOCHAIN framework. So no, it's not open, but the idea is that we open it totally for arbitrary applications to be able to be deployed and for additional nodes to be able to be added in the network in the future. And we have concrete ideas for that, and maybe you can see the recordings of the Berlin event that we had in June. The ONTOCHAIN, the first ONTOCHAIN summit.
So just to recall, you can find it on our YouTube channel. So next question, what is the, this one was done. Our project want to integrate with copyright key, which uses an ERC 721 token standards with JSON LS. Would this give us the same smart contract functionality as ERC 1155?
Lara, you want to take this?
Is this a question for me?
Yes, probably.
It's about the ERC 721, right?
Yes.
So this project, copyrightly project, I don't think it will give because ERC 1155 is this semi-fungible token.
Yes.
So it would not be I don't think it would be the same, but I think that some of the ONTOCHAIN projects that are dealing with NFTs are addressing specific topics that are related to ERC 1155. Like, for example, building liquidity pool with this project that Thanasis is
NFT swap.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, NFT swap. So yeah, no, in general, no, you will not have the same functionality. Okay, I mean, because these are different standards. One is semi-fungible and the other one is NFT. So, but there are several projects with different types of tokens utilized already, and even projects like Bringo, which has an NFT minting functionality. And other projects that have the capability, that offer the capability to create NFTs again and add semantics to the NFTs, and other projects that offer the capability to create crypto tokens in terms of fungible or semi-fungible tokens like NFT swap. So there are all kinds of functionality. Okay.
Okay. Next question. So 14 application, 11 for objective B, 3 for objective A. Is that correct? Yes.
Yes, but this is kind of depends also on the ideas. It depends on the ideas and the applications that we receive. Applications for funding, I mean. So depending on the applications that we receive, we might see that there is more potential into funding an additional application idea, or that there is much potential into funding an additional core functionality idea. But roughly, this is the weight that we want to give. We want to fund more applications and less, let's say, core functionality, which is currently missing, because we don't miss a lot of functionality.
Okay, where exactly is then technical information provided on the website if you do not provide API information or code?
Great. I will answer this by typing. Maybe you can go to the next.
Okay. Is it acceptable, the proposal, to address some of the proposed aspects and technology like semantic technologies, ontologies, knowledge management, and does not solve blockchain non-issue? Vlado, maybe you can answer.
Of course, it is possible to that the project addresses some of the proposed aspects, and of course, I think I already had this in the presentation, that we don't need that the applications solve already known issues. What we want to see is actually that the proposal is credible in the way it is presented, by exactly knowing the open issues and not needing to solve these open issues in order to still have some credible application design. I think that the major issue today with blockchain-based applications is exactly that. There are plenty of ledgers that are built for specific application types, but actually there are very small amount of applications available of different types. We have investigated few type of applications, and that's practically all that they are existent at the moment from production viewpoint. But our ONTOCHAIN project already has some project partners that already have production grade blockchain-based applications. So we want that the participants in this call are actually, let's say, accepting this challenge, that it's possible to develop many diverse application types. And of course, by involving some, not every possible aspect of the project. So here the challenge is to have really new application types that are really understanding the involved issues and problems, and they do not need to solve them in order to still produce a minimum viable product. Also from the viewpoint of minimum viable product, if you think that your application is really too complex, I saw a question whether 119,000 euro is enough to build an application at a high technology readiness level. Just imagine that it's always possible to have a minimum of the minimum of the minimum viable product, so that you can concentrate really on the essential and, let's say, breakthrough aspect of your application that would be required by your users and would be able to be, let's say, showcased in the lifetime of your project, so that we can see, satisfied users, either they are companies or individuals, doesn't really matter, but we want to see that this minimum viable product is actually involving some aspects of the projects that we provide to all the applicants. I think, I hope this answers this question.
The 10 pages limit also include the front page of the document. Please, for that, just go back to the template. The count page start is mentioned, as well as the end. So have a look to that. It's well mentioned in the template that you can find directly on the website or in the guide for applicants. Can we use other open blockchains such as Polkadot?
Yes, definitely, and people are using this. The only thing which is important is EVM compatibility. And in general, ease of integration with existing solutions that will be deployed and are deployed already at this EVM compatible network that we maintain. So as long as your services will be able to utilize these EVM compatible services, and as far as I know, Polkadot has the capability in a way to also support EVM compatible and Solidity smart contracts. So if this is the case, then no problem in using that.
Okay. So I think that slowly we arrive to the last question. Actually, are the current Open Call 1 and Open Call 2 services also open source? And as such, are their source code, etc., available for viewing somewhere when planning an integration with them? Quickly browsing to the ONTOCHAIN website, I only found an open source repository for one of those services. So thanks to answer.
Yeah, I think that this was answered before, but I will say it again. So yeah, the plan is that many and virtually all GitHub or other kind of repositories will open for the general public. They are not all at the same level of maturity. Some of them are being written at the time that we speak, because some of the second-year projects have not finished. Actually, 6 of them have not finished. And the 7 ones, that have already finished I mean, they cannot. We cannot say that all of them have delivered the final code. I mean, cleaned the repositories and stuff like that, because the evaluation of them just stopped 1 week ago. So everything is going to be available eventually. Right now, if you are interested in specific functionality from a particular project that you want to employ, you can see what is the high-level description of this functionality. You can read the public ONTOCHAIN deliverables. You can go to the webpage of ONTOCHAIN to see the descriptions of the projects. You can contact the people to ask for more information and even for the APIs and the link to the repo. They are kind of the guys that need to open the repositories. And when they are ready, they will open them. They cannot open the repositories to the general public with not very much polished code or polished documentation. So this is up to them. It will be done soon. It's not done already. But of course, all information needed, even at the level of APIs, can be provided on request.
Okay, so one last question that arrived at the last minute. The design, definition, and formalization of an ontology is a mandatory requirement for participation in the open call?
So maybe I can answer this. Definitely, it's not mandatory, but what we want to see is that in the ONTOCHAIN project, we are capable of handling data and giving specific properties to data, which are high quality properties that people can trust the data that is managed by the help of cryptographic mechanisms, by the help of blockchains. And if possible, and it would be really fantastic and great if we can also consider applications that use high-level semantics. They use, for example, rules, or they use any other aspect of the semantic web that could be employed in their application. But this is, of course, taking into account that we cannot serve just everything possible. We need to really focus ourselves into specific relationships, into specific reasoning mechanisms and other aspects that make the benefit when using ontologies and semantics. So having said this, of course it's possible, and we believe there exist many such even killer applications. For example, maybe in social networks, maybe, for example, to establish trust between entities when one can use so-called trusted execution environments, which are also part of this project, and other aspects like this. So knowledge graphs, we do have projects that are funded already, and we believe that this kind of metadata handling mechanisms, also with the support of blockchains, could really greatly enhance future next generation internet applications. But this is, of course, not a requirement. Nothing is a requirement, but still we want to see applications that fit in the context, in the spirit of our ONTOCHAIN project. So that's, I think, the main message we want to tell to the applicants. Thank you from my side.
Thank you, Vlado, for this last answer, let's say. And thank you also to Thanasis. I would like to thank you all, of course, for your interest again in ONTOCHAIN, and I wish you the best of luck for your application. I don't know if Vlado or Thanasis, do you want to add something?
No, thanks.
Okay.
I want to thank everybody for the participation and active participation in the discussion. I hope that we clarified many questions, and would like with your applications.
Okay, so Vlado, any comments?
No comment from my side. Thank you.
Okay, great. So we are closing this webinar, and hopefully looking forward to your application. Bye bye, and thank you again.
Thank you and bye bye.